launch pad has been transformed to accommodate a private spaceport engine.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be arriving at launch pad 39A. It's going to be on our left-hand side as we make our way around the perimeter of the launch pad area.
Space adventure started by tech entrepreneur.
Oh, this is where you can charge it. We got the charging station.
They watched their rocket.
That's just a
roadster into space. This is where it launched. The Falcon Heavy rocket is currently the powerful operational rocket.
They have their own SpaceX. Let's eat lunch there.
SpaceX made history in 2012 when it delivered their Dragon spacecraft into orbit to rendezvous with the International Space Station, making SpaceX the first commercial company ever to visit the space.
You can see that Dragon galaxy out at the very complex with NASA.
Is that a good news?
ISS. And some of the Dragon capsules have been used more than once. But the Dragon capsule isn't the only hardware they reuse. Yes, I'm talking about reusable rockets. SpaceX secretly lands most of their rockets after launch. Sometimes they land back here at Cape Canaveral, while others they land on a destroyer floating in the ocean. The ability to recover and reuse rocket boosters is one of the most exciting developments in aerospace history. This advance in rocket technology is helping to bring down the cost of launching payloads into space, allowing more and more exciting technology to deploy through space.
Hi, I'm John Garrett. I'm the Director of Launch Operations here at Pad 39. We got the keys to Pad 39 from NASA on April 14th, 2014, and we started a really radical transformation of this pad. One of 9A is where we'll take control of the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. Fiber number 2 is actually being upgraded to support Launch Pad 39B and the SLS rocket system. Over here to our left, we're coming across the American flag flying on a flagpole. At the base of the flagpole is the blue rectangular box sitting right next to it. The blue rectangular box is the official countdown clock for Launch Complex 39, and this is the newer countdown clock installed a few years ago. Has a digital display on it. This allows you to see the launch of the countdown. The original countdown clock was
the further along in the center, the faster you're traveling around the circle. Florida is closer to the Earth's equator, so launching from Florida is like riding closer to the outer edge of a parasol. We harness the extra speed from Earth spinning on its axis to help slingshot rockets into space. When NASA was created, the land previously occupied by the United States Army, Navy, and Air Force became the Launch Operations Center, or LOC, and was put under NASA's supervision. In 1963, President Lyndon B. Johnson called for the renaming of the LOC to honor the late President John F. Kennedy, who had challenged the nation to landing a man on the moon. To this day, it is still referred to as the John F. Kennedy Space Center, or KSC.
Here we are at the home of the
launch platform to vary in weight, contain on size, and support needed for the launch vehicle.
NASA is known for dreaming big, and big dreams require big equipment. I'm standing next to the Crawler Transport, the largest self-powered land vehicle in the world. It was originally built in 1965 for the Apollo program, and has since been updated to accommodate the space shuttle, and now NASA's SLS rocket. Weighing in at 6 million pounds, and capable of lifting and hauling 18 million pounds. The Crawler is an engineering marvel, even without a rocket sitting on top of it. This thing has 2,750 horsepower, V16 diesel engine that can carry the Crawler up to a top speed of, wait for it, 1 mile per hour while carrying a rocket. Keep an eye out for the Crawler as we approach this area.
Oh, we do have, yeah, American Alligator Lagoon. Where's it?
Puta que pariu.
And experiencing incredible achievements of NASA. I'm standing next to a real Mercury redstone rocket, the same rocket that began NASA's journey of human space exploration. Our trip today will begin with the same Mercury redstone. Take us from the Apollo and Space Shuttle programs and your current day activities at this multi-user spaceport into the exciting future of NASA. The work that's being done right this moment at the Space Center is bringing us
O, dziadek, patrz! Astronaut training experience.
Oh, we do have, yeah, American Alligator Lagoon.
Puta que pariu.
Thank you.
At this moment, nothing appears to stand between Apollo 8 and the moon except the sky.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. If you must leave during the presentation, please exit through the doors on your right. Thank you.
Launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas 1968 when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Andrews had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks. Our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems. And to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat, waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin and the communications tower go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is given at our automatic sequence, T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system. That ready light also. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems remain okay.
Keep going. We're on. Ready to go to cockpit. Stand by water. Okay, you're on.
All systems go.
T-minus 45 seconds and counting. The first stage oxygen tank has been pressurized and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. Stage propellants pressurized at this time as we go on the 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. Coming up on power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle.
and blowing up this time. Look at the switches below the spacecraft. 20 seconds on these test wheels. Roll at this time. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
Apollo 8 successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away.